When someone calls a game underrated, that usually means that the game in question deserves more love than it's getting. And I can name quite a few games deserving of said love on the Nintendo Switch. I bet you I can make a proper case for all of these games right here, but there's one that just really sticks out to me. One game in particular I fell in love with when it first came out, but I see nobody ever talk about it after it was released. What game is that, you ask? Yeah, look, this may not be the wonderful and exciting underrated game you were looking for this video. It's just something I really gotta get off my chest. Luigi's Mansion 3 is one of the most polished Nintendo experiences on the Switch, and it's absolutely criminal that it's not talked about all that often anymore. Look, Luigi and I, we're like brothers, even more so than Mario. We go way back ever since I was the wee age of 3 when I played my first ever game, Luigi's Mansion, and I loved the absolute heck out of it. Did I not know what I was supposed to be doing? Did I unknowingly reset my save file all the time? Did this game scare the living hell out of me? Yes, yes, and hell yes. In Luigi's Mansion 1, Luigi won a mansion in a contest he never entered in, and Mario, the good bigger brother he is, went to check out the mansion before his brother, and he never came back out. And Luigi, after learning that there are ghosts inside of the mansion, it's his job to rescue his brother from the deadly clutches of the booze and his poltergust. And his poltergust, yeah, definitely with it. Your job is to flash and suck up the ghosts and keep them inside your vacuum. At the end of every major section of the game, you toss your ghosts over to EGAD and have them turn back into portraits where they are originally kept. That's kind of the main gist of the game, but it works. It's simple but effective. Ignoring the fact that there are dead kids in this game, it's a fun ride. The theme is catchy, and the fact that this is one of the only times we ever see the Mario Brothers emote anything other than a joyful wahoo really cements this game as a memorable experience for me. Fast forward to the Nintendo Direct of September 13th, 2018, and we got our very first look at Luigi's Mansion 3. Earlier that year, we got the announcement that a remaster of the original Luigi's Mansion title would come to 3DS, and I was very confused as to why it wasn't on Switch. Well, this game was a good indicator as to why. I followed this game like an absolute hawk, more so than I usually did with games back in that day. This was a massive release for me, and I wanted to know as much as possible, as soon as possible, and eventually on October 31st, 2019, the game was finally released. The wait got so bad, I ordered the game digitally, only because I wanted to play it earlier than having the physical cartridge. Boy, do I regret that today. The story is as follows. Luigi wins a free stay at the world-class Last Resort Hotel for himself, his friends, and even Polterpup. Helen Gravely, the owner, promises to dazzle them with first-class hospitality, but things go quickly from charming to downright creepy. This transcript was ripped directly off the Nintendo website, and it doesn't state that he never really entered the sweepstakes, so it's safe to assume that this was Luigi's plunder all for himself. Lucky him. We get this fantastic, charming cutscene of the Mario gang traveling in a bus to get to their destination, and
Wow,
this game looks incredible. For a Switch game, this might be one of, if not the best looking games on the console just by looking at the insane detail in the models and the crazy lighting. This rakes so much life into the Mario cast that we've never really seen before. They speak actual words instead of that fake gibberish from before. Once we get to the hotel, we get this little section where we get to interact with certain objects in the cast, as we get to see Mario get his piece of cake stolen by Polterpup.
Oh, doggy.
God, I love this man. Peach standing around and doing nothing as usual while the Toads try their hardest to carry everything they packed for the hotel, and the patrons look a little, off, to say the least. I mean, hell, even Luigi knows something's up. When you make a face like that, you know something's wrong. Once you check in, Helen Gravely, the owner of this hotel, comes out and greets you personally, fresh out of The Sims by the way she talks.
Suma, Tevitara, the show dues.
Yeah, just a rule of thumb, don't trust anyone who talks like that. After that, the gang heads up to their room after saying a heartfelt goodbye to each other, not knowing that this may be the last time they ever see each other.
Night, night. Night, night.
This line alone is better than anything thrown in The Last of Us 2. Fight me. I'm gonna be honest, the setup is pretty basic and not like anything we haven't seen before. Luigi wakes up to Peach screaming as he realizes that he's probably going to die, and he does what any reasonable man would. He runs away. Despite the setup being super basic, they really go all out with what they have and make the most effective setup possible by introducing you to the characters and gameplay loop pretty quick. Nice little graphical showcase showing off what the stunning lighting this game has to offer. The gameplay loop is relatively the same as the previous Luigi's Mansion game, but unlike the first game, the gameplay loop isn't that bad and adds on to the foundation the original had. I mean, at this point, I sure hope they did add on to something. I mean, the game came out over 20 years ago, but, you know, Of course you have your standard suck and blow, but there's been some tweaks to pre-existing gameplay, like instead of Luigi's Light just being on and immediately stunning the enemy, you have to charge up a flash to catch the ghost off guard before you can suck him up. You also have the slam move, which not only is satisfying to use, it quickly disposes of your enemies. And did I mention it's satisfying to use? There's also this projectile plunger move that was first shown off in a Smash Bros trailer where Luigi dies. Yeah, a little fun tidbit for you. Luigi's dead. Anyway, to take his place, let me introduce you to our latest edition of the Mario Cast, Gooigi! A cold and unfeeling goo replica of Luigi created by EGAD, and well, Gooigi can get places where Luigi can't, like metal grates and such. Just don't let him touch water or he'll die. All of this combines for a fun and engaging gameplay experience that opens up for not only combat, but puzzles as well. There's a pretty decent balance between fun combat and great puzzle solving. Nothing that was super hard by any means, but sometimes those little gem collectibles could give me a run for my money. These little collectibles are secret gems you could find on every floor, and they really don't add anything to the game other than something to collect, which is kind of a shame, but they're still fun to find around the levels.
Chaos control!
Oh my god! The hotel itself is like this giant breeding ground for weird and unexpected twists. Like, when I go into a hotel, the last thing I'm expecting is a full-on movie studio or Egyptian temple. Honestly, while these level themes are really cool and take full advantage of their location, it's really hard for me to connect with these levels as I get taken out of the hotel immersion. Honestly, it really is just nitpicking at the end of the day, but one of my favorite things about the original Luigi's Mansion was the whole, you know, mansion aesthetic. Like, it'd be weird for 1 second to be in the main foyer of the mansion and then all of a sudden be transported to a freaking Egyptian temple. Something that is also pretty different from the original is the whole structure of the game itself. I mean, depending on how you look at this could be an upgrade or a downgrade, but honestly, I'm pretty indifferent about it. In the original Luigi's Mansion, all there was the one mansion and things to do inside of it. As you progress, you get keys to unlock new rooms and to explore and whatnot. While you beat the bosses, a whole new floor opens up in the mansion that's connected to the previous sections. In Luigi's Mansion 3, these are all just levels within a giant hotel. Only like 1 or 2 floors connect to each other without the need of the elevator, so a lot of the floors feel disconnected with each other, and I guess it makes sense considering how much bigger this place is, but I think I would have preferred some more connected floors, but that's just me. I mean, it really says something when my favorite floors in the game are the ones that feel the most in line with the mansion/hotel aesthetic, like the hotel shops and the general hotel floors. Something I also forgot to mention is that the portrait ghosts actually come back in this game after being absent from Dark Moon, and this was a massive breath of fresh air for me, as they just give off so much charm and personality to the game. The boss fights in this game are fun, and no one ever feels the same, as each one has some kind of gimmick you need to face or puzzle you need to solve in order to defeat them. Something that definitely feels off to me about this game is the overall tone. I hate to really keep comparing this to the original Luigi's Mansion, but that game absolutely nailed the atmosphere to a T. Even as an adult playing this game, I can still feel the eeriness in the game's air, while Luigi's Mansion 3 simply feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. It's not a bad thing by any means, as it never really affected me in any negative way. I just heavily prefer the creepy and child traumatizing atmosphere of the first game. You could especially feel it in the game's music, as the original theme is slow, harsh, and eerie, while the main theme of 3 feels more goofy and fun. Also, one last thing, this dumb stupid cat, I hate it so much. This cat's only purpose in the game is to pad the runtime, and I hate it so much! If this cat weren't in Luigi's Mansion 3, it would be in my top 5 Nintendo games ever. I'm not even joking. But at the end of the day, all of these just come down to minor nitpicks and preferences, as only the cat really negatively affected gameplay for me. Otherwise, even with the disjointed floors, this game is still amazing. With how polished and fun this game is, I know the exact question you're thinking. How is this game underrated? And honestly, that's what I'm saying. In today's modern landscape for Nintendo, we have games like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet dominating the space while being unpolished, ugly, broken messes, yet somehow being the fastest selling Switch games ever. Yet Luigi's Mansion is the complete opposite of that. It's polished, it's gorgeous to look at, and not to mention, it is a finished product. Lackluster online aside, this game is complete from start to finish and has a lot of fun content to go with it. So, despite it being the 15th best-selling Switch game of all time, why the hell is no one talking about it anymore? Well, in today's gaming market, even first-party Switch games are super competitive to get that top spot for its release, and Luigi's Mansion 3 just couldn't compete. It was a 100% complete game at launch, and despite 2 tiny expansion packs for the online being dropped, this game was never touched again. Unlike most Nintendo games nowadays getting months, if not years of additional content after launch, Luigi's Mansion 3 just didn't need that. And to be honest, it's all the better for it. As I just said, this game is complete from front to back, and it doesn't need anything more. It's just a shame that this game looks this good on the Switch and it got shafted so hard, but Them's the breaks, I guess. I don't have a joke for this ending. It's just really sad how this game got shafted that hard. Please go play this game.